As a former England player, who do you consider to be the greatest rivals on the pitch?
In terms of quality, it's obviously All Blacks, but it depends from era to era. It depends. For me,
some are up and some are
the
down.
French.
Because they're always a tough nut, aren't they?
Well, yes. I mean, you're always going to have a battle. And look, historically, you know, we've never... Well, we had a war for 100 years because we enjoyed it so much.
And we can't remember the result.
Well, when you're batting well, you want to keep going, don't you?
So where does the England... we've got this big England-Wales game coming up. Where does that rate in the rivalry stakes?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I think it depends on how good the Welsh teams have been for the England fans. For the Welsh fans, it's a very big fixture. And there's a lot to play for.
Certainly of the home teams in the Six Nations, they all I'd be right to say they kind of define themselves against England.
Yes.
And that's what...
Well, when you travel the world, you realise how hated England are.
Is that just in rugby? Or?
No, in everything.
Do you think rugby is different in its rivalry from other sports?
I'd like to think it... Well, hitherto I said it's a bit more civilised. I'm not quite sure that's the case, actually, necessarily. Certainly on social media, anyway. I think it'll be a good game. What you won't see is any fighting, I would doubt. You might see a lot of people vomiting later on in Cardiff, but that will be...
Is that normal or unusual?
Well, to be honest, it is normal, actually. So.
We'd like to apologise to any Welsh viewers, particularly those in Cardiff who are watching this programme. I'd just like to point out it was not the BBC that made that statement, but one of our guests. I think his name is... Oh, Brian. Brian, welcome. Tell me, when you play for a team, the rivals are not necessarily just in the other team, are they?
Well, the thing about team sports is you do have to actually all pull in the same direction or you don't get anywhere. The difference in politics is if you've got a safe seat, actually you can do what you want, can't you? Because you're not going to suffer the effects of the team going down. You're going to get back in. And that's when you can be...
I didn't.
...particularly dangerous. No, but you know the big majority, Michael.
That was a happy day.
Well, you know, when you went down, Oz Clarke brought a bottle of 1982 Margot out. It was a fantastic moment.
An 82 Margot?
82 Margot. Brilliant.
The thing where I'd rebut what you were saying, though, but the thing where I think in politics that we don't learn nearly enough from sport is the fact that if the team does not hold together, it's just the same as sport in that it falls apart. And I think what you've seen this week with Theresa May and all that stuff, it undermines the team. And politics ultimately at its best, when we were at our best in the time that we were in government, it's when actually we were all pulling in the same direction.
Exactly when were you ever pulling in the same direction?
Well, it was hard to get it going all the time, but when we were, that's when we were at our best.
No, that's...
Were you in government then, you're saying?
No, when we were in government. When the Labour Party was in government, and the whole team was...
I mean, compared to
together.
Gordon Brown, Theresa May's an amateur, isn't she?
Yes, in lots of different ways.
But you know the sense I'm meaning.
and in lots of different ways.
Well covered.
It's absolutely in the nature of it, isn't it? Because the people we call the political colleagues of the Prime Minister or the leader of the Labour Party are not, of course, colleagues. They are subordinates. They can be hired and fired in reshuffles. And they are rivals. Each one of them thinks that he or she could be the leader of the party, and that is destabilising. And parties tend to pull together when they're ahead in the opinion polls because then the leader has absolute authority. When
you were climbing the greasy pole, were you very conscious of your rivals?
Good Lord, yes. And they were all in my party. I mean, you have no sense of rivalry with the other party because they're kind of irrelevant. You fight them every 5 years. But the people around you, you're fighting on a daily basis. I mean, particularly if you're a minister, actually, not so much other ministers as backbenchers. Because
not very grown up, is it?
Because what backbenchers want to do...
You're right.
What backbenchers want to do is create vacancies in the ministerial ranks so that they may occupy them.
So does it affect your behaviour then when you're doing that? You behave in ways that take into account the behaviour of rivals and how they may react?
Of course.
I think that minimises your chance of getting to the top. Yeah. I think actually to have that mindset minimises your chance of getting to the top. And the really big difference between politics and sport, I can remember a well-known football manager suggesting to me at one point, why doesn't Tony Blair just get rid of Minister X? And my response was, if you've got a player you don't like, you can transfer him and they never dart in your door again. If you've got a number 2 you don't like, you can sack them and they're gone because they're going to find work. In politics, they stay on the pitch.
Exactly.
And that is,
And
yes,
that makes
they
it
do.
more complicated. I agree.
It was a huge error
Right.
for Blair not to get rid of Brown. Huge, huge error.
How do you know that's what
I
I
don't
was
want to
talking
go
about?
there because we've been there. I'm so bored by it. I want to find out the real question is who's going to win.
If you wanted to bet, you put money on Wales because they will be favourites.
Really? Are you going to be commentating?
Yes, but I've got to stay neutral, obviously.
Of course. But all right. But interesting. You think Wales may be the ones. Brian, good luck at the game. Thank you very much.